most people don't understand the relationship between faith and fitness. They're synonymous, they're anonymous to one another. When we learn that, which is the knowledge that God has given us, the ability to gain, we can break that cycle. We can break the cycle of preventable diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure just by changing our diets. Moving around just a little bit could change your diet. There have been studies that have shown that when you are fit, there's a domino effect. Your finances change. Your relationships change. Your future change. Your whole ideal changes because you understand that your body is a temple, and you honor God when you take care of your body.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Rush Outrospective, a Mastering the Art of Living podcast. What if I told you that transformation isn't a feel-good concept? It's a fight. That discipline is the bridge between faith and action, and that if our body is weak, our mindset is probably weak too. This isn't about hype. It's about real reinvention, the kind that forces you to face yourself, strip away excuses, and rebuild from the ground up. Dangelo Lee has been a financial strategist moving millions on Wall Street, a city builder shaping communities, a pastor leading congregations, an inmate finding purpose behind bars, and now a leader redefining what it means to merge faith, fitness, and freedom. He's living proof that your body, your mindset, and your soul are all connected. And if you ignore one, you'll suffer in all. This isn't just an interview. It's a collision of ideas, discipline, and truth. And if you're ready to stop talking about change and start making it happen, then let's step into the arena. Dangelo,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Lee, I'm so happy to have you on
Absolutely.
the Rush Outrospective, a Mastering the Art of Living podcast. And when we first met, you and I met at the prison entrepreneurship program, and I got to tell you, man, like we're there together sharing in this unique experience where we're independent people. We're strangers to one another, number one, but there is just something that innately drew us to one another, that interconnected us, and I believe that is a mind, spirit, and soul that brought us together. And I just feel blessed to have you on the podcast. And whenever I go out in the community, I always see people that have you notice the ones that have that ray of light that's kind of over them, right? Not the dark cloud. You know where those are too. We know when
Thank you so much, brother.
No, but we see those people. They really stand out. And I said, man, I've got to know you better, and know part of your story. And we're going to share some of that today. But I wasn't wrong, man. So I feel blessed, brother. I feel blessed.
Bless you, man.
Awesome. And speaking of the prison entrepreneurship program, we'll start with them. We'll give them a shout out. Talk to me about. Why don't we tell them what prison entrepreneurship program is? We'll just start off with that.
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. I'm always grateful when I have an opportunity to share and to, tell my story, because we all are just there's a Hebrew word called nephesh. And nephesh means a bundle of experiences. And so we all are a bunch of nepheshes. Maybe I did not conjugate that correctly, but that's where. So when we get an opportunity to do that, man, I'm just always elated and excited about that. I am a proud member of Prison Entrepreneur Program. I was introduced to them last year, and I was checking my calendar, and I give significant amount of time to PEP and the programming that they do in and outside of the prison. It has been an awesome opportunity. One of the realities of it, Rush, I must admit, is that I had not gone to an institution prior to that time. I didn't want any memory of it. I did not, it's still very surreal to me, but I needed to have that experience. And I remember speaking to Brian, who introduced me to it at Entree Capital, and I needed to confront that demon. And once I did, man, my world just opened up, and, like meeting you and meeting Chip and meeting all of the wonderful people like Mike and all of these wonderful persons, and Brian, through this experience, man, has just been invaluable. And then just to reach out to the young men that I know are going to be wonderful entrepreneurs, and have an opportunity to seed with them and to water them and even sometimes get some of the harvest of them, man, is invaluable. And I thank God for PEP and the opportunity to share.
Yeah, we must have hit it right at the same mark. That's the irony too, because I hadn't been to a prison in many years, almost 2 decades. To walk in one for the first time after so long, being apart, it's like you're confronting old demons that try to conquer us, And I guess we were in that unique time, that special timing to get to know each other and to forge a friendship and a brotherhood for sure.
Yes, sir. And also, I must admit, man, your sneakers always give me fun. So I said, look at this dude over here, man. This guy has the baddest shoes on, man, and I'm a sneakerhead, as you may see. And when I saw him dressed and then he had Jordans on, I said, that's my man. And then he has on my fraternity color. I'm a proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and I love this crimson that you have on, man. So
let's tap into a little bit about your a little bit about you being incarcerated. Let's just touch on it a little bit, and if you're willing to do that right now, we can touch on it, and then I got a lot of questions to ask you. So we'll if you feel comfortable to share that, that'd be
absolutely. It's been the darkest time of my life. I figured that if there was an image of a successful black man, I thought I was. Meaning that I attended Ivy League schools. I went to Morehouse College. I'm a proud Morehouse man. I did my master's work at Southern Methodist University. I worked on Wall Street. I have been in development and pastored, and I was a public servant. Had been married about 20 years at that time, 3 awesome children, and at the height of the social registry, and just was having an awesome time. And I remember, I tell this story, I don't know if you are familiar, I'm a very biblical person, and if I get too preachy, man, just tap me, but it's in my spirit. And there was a story about Joseph, and Joseph had a coat of many colors that his dad had given him. And my dad had given me this blanket of many colors. And I would pull that blanket over me on many nights and just think about how fortunate I am, how blessed I am, how favored I am. Every time I would throw that over, and then to be a part of a city where I was making decisions and a part of boards that was making Dallas a beautiful place, I just reveled in that. And just as routinely as I covered myself with that cover, thinking that I am God's gift to the world, the following day I took it off, and my life just fell into a whirlwind.
Wow.
The life that I knew it from that time, even to now, has not been the same. It's almost like Dorothy going, from Kansas to Oz, and I've been in Oz. And through that time, just as in the movie, I've learned that I had a heart, I had a mind, I had a soul, I had a spirit. And I met so many young men there during that time out of my sadness, being separated from my children. My children are my pride and joy. I have 2 wonderful sons and an awesome daughter, and I'm a proud grandparent now of 2-year-old Nori. Shout out to you, No. And just being away from them, man, was the most debilitating time and painful time of my life. And one way I was able to get some life out of that is when I was incarcerated, I was a GED teacher. And so many men there, as you may know, you have to get your GED to get a good job. And since I already had a master's degree, I had a pretty good job there. But I learned that many of the men there could not pass the GED. They couldn't until they met me. And mind you, I struggled in school because I did not know I was dyslexic until I had my son tested. And it all became clear why I had problems in math and things of that nature. And so it was fearful for me to try to teach someone else because I knew that I struggled. But I did. And I was able to graduate over 125 men that had been trying to get their GEDs for, 5 to 10 years. And, the beautiful part of it is that, I love faith and fitness. I like working out. And many times I'm out on the gym in between class, and I would see these big burly men run up to me and grab me and hug me. And they, thank you, Mr. Lee. Thank you, Mr. Lee. I passed, man. And that made that experience a little bit worthwhile. because I did not have opportunity to be there with my children because they were doing their school age years. But I wrote a book about it called Parenting from a Distance. We're not going to talk about that today. But I tutored my kids with the resources that were made available to me because my number one concern and my mission was to keep my family together despite the distance. And we'll come back and talk about that at another time, man. But it was a dark time, but I've learned, and I will probably repeat this again, that I've learned that my condition was not my conclusion.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Now, my what? What was it? Not my conclusion?
My condition.
My condition was not my conclusion.
It's not my conclusion.
That's beautiful,
and
man.
Not yours either.
You know, maybe you've gone through this experience, but I remember myself when I was going through a similar journey, going through being incarcerated. There was a time where I said, I don't belong in this. I don't belong here. I don't belong in this place. Like, was there a moment where you said, okay, I need to be out there making a difference instead of in here? Was there a time when that happened to you?
Oh, absolutely, man. I used to tell people, I said, I could have learned, if God was trying to teach me a lesson, I could have learned this on the golf course. He didn't have to send me here to learn that, man. He didn't, because I'm just like, I could have gotten this. I didn't have to get it there, yeah. So, and then, on the streets, they say that, man, you're not cut like that. I was just not cut for that. I just was not cut. I had a really fortunate life. My dad really gave me a very, very fortunate life, man. And I just wasn't cut like that. I didn't speak like that. I just didn't think that I could endure that. But God had other plans. He had a whole other vision and purpose for my life. And then I learned also that because something is deferred doesn't mean it's denied. And what God has for me and has for you and everyone else, you may have to take a detour, but it's not denied because it's destiny.
Yeah.
And I had to really, really gather that in the darkest time of my life, man. And when you look at most of the great leaders, they've learned this in the dark times of their life. It's something about in the darkness, man, that the light just can't shine and show you.
Yeah, I always say, man, even in darkness, man, the humanity still flickers. When we talk about humanity, it was how did humanity? You knew your life. You built a lot of social capital in many streams that you were part of, a congregation, city, and different sections of your life. What did you learn about? How did humanity impact you when you were incarcerated?
Well, it didn't start there. I remember if we can go to one of the questions that was asked, and it talked about. How do you feel about your experiences in life and basically the question that you were speaking of? And I've come to gather that all things, not some things, work together for the good of those that are called according to a purpose, man. And I am, you can't convince me that I'm not of purpose. You just cannot convince me of that in any way, form, or fashion, despite what I've gone through. Yea, though I walk through, I'm walking through. I'm not stopping in the middle. I'm going through. And as a result of that, man, I've just learned, man, just to persevere and that's been my humanity. And then I see that in so many different people. I have a wonderful opportunity to be the leadership over large groups of people, and indirectly, my position had allowed me to have, hundreds of people that I had provided leadership to, man. And that allowed me to see their humanity. It allowed me to be a more vulnerable leader, a more compassionate leader, a leader that was able to meet the people where they are. I always tell people that I see people before I see their work. Some people see the work, and I would get on my managers and I would say, man, listen, I said, that person has a life outside of here. Try to understand, be empathetic, put those shoes on, and then judge from there, and then lead from there. And there's no other way, there's no perfect way of demonstrating humanity. It's through compassion and vulnerability.
When we first, recently you shared with me that you have a book. It's called The Theology of Fitness. Is that correct?
That is correct.
In the book, you talk about radical ownership of mind, body, and soul. Most people try to compartmentalize these things. What was the moment in your life when you realized that they were inseparable, and what did the realization cost you?
Man, that's a really great question. You would think that I would have learned or got this revelation being reared in the church all of my life. You know, having a dad that was a pastor and mother, first lady, and my grandfather, my uncle, and now my cousins are bishops. And, you know, I'm just in the church. So you would think that I would have understand the continuity and the synergy between body, mind, and soul. I call it faith and fitness, but I didn't learn it there. You would think that I learned it going to Perkins School of Theology. Mind you, School of Theology. I didn't go to a seminary. I went to a School of Theology. And the difference is that a School of Theology allows you to theologically reflect upon any type of literature, the Bible or whatever the case might be. So I was well equipped to reflect upon that. And you would think that I got it there. You also might think that, dude, you pastored for over almost 2 decades to hundreds of people, conferences and et cetera, et cetera. You didn't get it there. No, I did not get it there. You can even venture to say you were a public servant to a large constituency. Did you get it there? No. I got it when I served time. And more specifically, Russ, I lost both of my parents during that time. It was the darkest moments of my life, man.
Yeah, that sounds, I mean, to almost render yourself almost at God's mercy. Man, is that a good way to?
Yeah, because during that time, man, I fell in depression, the deepest depression you could possibly imagine. And all I knew is that when I worked out, my depression lifted, it faded. My dark clouds just evaporated. And I was able to hear God more clearly. I more clearly understood his word to me, like, yea, though I walk through the valleys and the shadows of death, I shall fear no evil. Now, I knew it intellectually, but not existentially. The word, that weeping may endure for now, all of these scriptures became alive in me. And that's when I understood the synergy and the homogeny between faith and fitness. And the cost and the price that I had to pay was, first of all, losing my parents, who were the wind beneath my wings. And then secondly, with my children, not being able to be there for my children, teach my children how to drive and my son how to shave. And the bigger and the more macro sense, it is the cost and the price that I had to pay of all those missed opportunities. When I had opportunity to preach to people about the synergy between faith and fitness, and I didn't. When I was a public servant, didn't talk about it at that time. That's an irreparable cost. Hence the book. I wrote the book to right the wrong, so that now you have a blueprint on how to speak about faith and fitness.
I love it, man, because you're getting life lessons and you're documenting it, man. So this book, the Theory of Fitness, Theology of Fitness, it's like you're documenting. You're like, this is what I've learned. This is what I need to make sure that it's a living entity in this world. So that's like so powerful.
Absolutely.
When I think of imprinting, putting your fingerprint and putting this God spoken word to you in your life and actually executing an actual book out of it. So that's admirable, man.
Thank you, bro.
We've talked about this a little bit, but I'm going to go through this question anyways. It says you've walked through extremes: financial power, spiritual leadership, incarceration, and now healthcare leadership. Which of these has tested your discipline the most, and what did you experience? What did that experience reveal about your own limitations?
Again, it was incarceration, man. Because again, as they say in the street, I wasn't cut like that. I did not think I was going to make it, man. But God showed otherwise, man. There's a passage in scripture said that my borders were enlarged. I realized, man, that I didn't know what I could handle. I did not realize that I could endure that. Well, let me restate that. I felt that I was going to get through it because my family is resilient, but I felt that if I came out of it, I would have been so broken and worn and torn and almost irreparable. But I learned that was not the case. And it goes back to that statement that I made before, is that I learned that my condition was not going to be my conclusion. That I was going to make not just lemonade out of this, but I was going to do orchards of lemons so that I can leave a blueprint I met so many incarcerated parents, man, for some of the, just the dumbest stuff ever. There was a beautiful couple. He and his wife were separated from, they had wonderful children. I mean, men of deep integrity. But they were separated from their families, man. And so I've learned a lot, man. And my borders have been enlarged. My territory has been enlarged. My mind has been enlarged. My spirit has been enlarged as a result of that. And again, it makes me a better leader.
Yeah.
I'm much more sensitive. I'm much more compassionate. My emotional IQ has risen as a result of that experience in my life.
That's beautiful, man. I like the broader borders, right? Stretch you out. It's such a mind. This whole experience can be. If we've walked through it, we've walked through the valley, right? Mm-hmm. I think there's a part where I watched this pastor say, and he maketh me lie.
Right down.
Maketh me lie.
Yes, sir.
Angry
Yes,
pastors.
sir.
And I never got that until recently. Maybe about 6 months ago, I saw this guy. He's like, they maketh me lie.
Maketh me lie, right.
Well, that's what was happening. He was making me lie. And then,
I like that, man. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be using that, okay? I say my friend Rush said it first, but then...
he making me lie on this green
making
mattress.
me like that.
This green mattress. No,
making me wear yellow, and it's not my favorite color.
Yeah.
Definitely, man.
Okay, let's revert back to your book, Theology of Fitness. You argued that a weak body reflects a weak discipline. That's an uncomfortable truth for many. How do you convince someone who's stuck in a cycle of complacency that their physical health is a mirror of their deepest struggles?
Another good question, Russ. Hosea 4:6 says we perish because of our lack of knowledge. When we know better, we do better. When we know better, we do better, we can break that cycle of complacency. Most people don't understand the relationship between faith and fitness. They're synonymous, they're anonymous to one another. When we learn that, which is the knowledge that God has given us, the ability to gain, we can break that cycle. We can break the cycle of preventable diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure just by changing our diets. Moving around just a little bit could change your diet. There have been studies that have shown that when you are fit, there's a domino effect. Your finances change. Your relationships change. Your future change. Your whole ideal changes because you understand that your body is a temple and you honor God when you take care of your body. And if we can get individuals to understand that, we can break that cycle. And that's the deep inner struggle that people are having that they just don't know. But when you know better, you do better. And that's the purpose of Theology of Fitness. It is to demythologize the idea that you can put whatever you want in your body, but then your faith is okay. It challenges that theory that I can put whatever I want in my mouth, but say something else. That dichotomy is addressed in Theology of Fitness. They're one and the same. They're not exclusive, but they're inclusive of one another. And your fitness is an outward expression of your faith. How do you show faith? One way of doing that is taking care of your temple. How do you honor God? By taking care of your temple. Watch what you put in your mouth. Watch what you drink. Watch your stress level. Work out. You become a better congregate, a better person in ministry because you feel better. When you feel better, you do better.
When you wrote this book, where were you in your place in life?
All of my books I wrote while I was away.
Wow.
Yeah, I wrote 5 manuscripts, and I have published 2. So I got a couple more out there that I have to do. But yeah, I wrote both of these books during that time.
Wow, that's crazy. Faith is often associated with surrender, while fitness is about control, right? So we say faith is often associated with surrender, while fitness is about control. How do you reconcile the paradox between trusting God and taking complete control of your body and mind?
Again, Rush, it goes back to this paradox. I don't see it as a paradox. Faith and fitness is not a paradox. Discipleship and control is not a paradox. The root word in disciple is discipline. You have to have a level of control to be disciplined. I have to control what goes into my thoughts. I have to control my impulses. I have to control my imaginations. There's a passage in scripture, it says, whatsoever is good, whatsoever is right, whatsoever is pure. It gives a litany of these wonderful, great ideas that we should think on a daily basis. And if we're able to do that, then it's not a paradox. That is one in the same. And that's, again, why I wrote the book, to demythologize the idea that being a disciple and being in control is a conflict. They're not diametrically different, but they're diametrically the same.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy, man. Like, whenever I sit and, I always say when I'm sitting here with a guest and they're saying something that's profound, I say, how are you doing this, Rush? Like, how are you doing
Yes,
this?
sir. Yes, sir.
If there was clouds popping up over me and then like different kind of animated clouds, it'd be like, you're like, okay, let's go, man.
Yes, sir.
That's the unique thing about having conversations like this, man. Like you bring an arsenal of a treasure trove of wisdom and knowledge and experience that took you to a place where you were confined to with just yourself in Christ and your love for your family and working through this navigating through this process for you to
come out on the other side.
Come out on the side to share this piece of this gold, man.
Yes, sir.
Many people find motivation in pain, right?
Yes, sir.
Whether it's a loss, failure, or even incarceration. But fire fades over time. That fire fades over time. How do you maintain a relentless drive once the immediate struggle is over?
Man, that's easy. That's an easy one, man. My children. When I see the faces of my children and know that incarceration is a part of their history and their knowledge of me, man, I wake up every day to change that story, to change that narrative. Not for that to be excluded from the legacy, but to turn it into an orchard of wonderful experiences like the book, being able to write about it so I can reach back and help others. There's another passage in scripture where Jesus goes to the pool of Bethesda. And there's a man that laid there lame for 38 years. And when Jesus came to the man and asked the man, did the man want to be made whole? You would think, why would Jesus ask this man? The man had been sitting there for 38 years. But he asked him, do you want to be made whole? The man said, yes. And he said, take up your bed and walk, you're healed. Take up your bed. He didn't just say, go away, go walk. He said, take up your bed. Why did he tell you to take up the bed? Because he didn't want you to forget. Didn't want to forget where you came from. My book lets me not forget. My children let me not forget. My beautiful granddaughter, 2 years old, makes me not forget. Being here on the podcast makes me not forget. Realizing that I have a responsibility to give back. There's an old African proverb that says that when you see me, know that I'm standing on the shoulders of many that have come before me. So I have a responsibility. They taught me that in Morehouse College, that I have a responsibility to give back. That keeps my fire in me, man. Just giving back, knowing that my condition is not my conclusion.
Is, they say like in recovery, be willing to make amends whenever possible, as long as they don't injure or harm people. It means you apologize for somebody don't apologize to someone who's already accepted your apology, right? Do you feel like this is part of an amends moment for you? Like, you're just talking about how important your family is. And
Sure, absolutely. Whenever I get an opportunity, and as I shared with you before the podcast, this is the very first time I talked about my experience of incarceration. I was afraid.
Yeah.
I was just afraid that it is a part of my resume, that I wear this scarlet letter. And, I'm so honored and grateful for PEP. Just allow me to go back into that space, to open up and to talk about it, man, because I had tucked it away so deep down. Because to be honest, I was angry with God. I was just, God, how could you let me do that? How could you let that happen to me? And I know I did not do that. That I had the purest intention as a public servant. I don't know what it means to take a bribe or anything of that nature. I had no idea. All I know that I wanted to give back to my community because that's what I was taught. But, nevertheless, you live and you learn. And again, my condition is not my conclusion.
Yeah, I like that, man. You've built, you've talked about what you did in while you were incarcerated with helping individuals with GEDs, and you've built a recidivism reduction program, led massive business deals, and written a book challenging how we think about fitness and faith. What's the most misunderstood part of your mission, and why do you think people struggle to grasp it?
Again, man, it comes down to knowledge, and we know better, we do better. And it's our responsibilities as leaders, all types of leaders, faith leaders, business leaders, parents, et cetera, to teach. My dad was a teacher, man. If you take P off of preach, you get reach. If you take the R off of reach, you get each. If you ain't reaching each, you ain't preaching.
Nice.
And I've learned that I have a responsibility to teach. Not only teach, but practice what I teach. Walk my talk, not just talk the walk. Because that's what I did in the past. As a pastor, I talked the walk, but I didn't walk the talk. There was never a synergy. There was never a marriage between faith and fitness. And I was always fit. I went to the gym every day, but I never thought that I needed to teach my congregation that. When I would see young people that, start off in their teens and over time, I saw them blow up. Or I remember so vividly, just pastors that were my mentors, man, that were just struggling to get upstairs and breathing hard. And we would go down after service and we would eat these heart attacks on a plate. And not being able to marry those two men has been, the biggest struggle. The biggest struggle to teach people, dude, that your temple belongs to God and you have to be careful about what you do with it. And it is service. Faith without works is dead. What you put in your mouth is your work.
Yeah.
Which exhibits your faith. And so just getting that message across, man, seems to be the struggle, hence the book.
Yeah.
Part of the subtitle is a blueprint for leaders to teach the relationship and intersection between faith and fitness. But just getting that out to the masses, man, continues to be a beautiful struggle, man. It hurts so good.
Let's see here. Your past could have easily dictated a different future. What mental chains did you have to break to make sure your story was one of mastery rather than victimhood?
Wow, man, that's good, Rush. Man, when I think about change, man, the day that I knew my liberty was gone is when they put them chains on me. It wasn't the 5 years that I was investigated. It was not the time that I spent. It wasn't the 7 months I was in the trial. It wasn't any of that. It was the day they put those chains on me. And I declared I never wanted that experience again. But I understand what you mean about the mental chains. After coming home, the most difficult chain that I had to break was the chain of unworthiness. Feeling that I wasn't worthy anymore of God's love and God's favor. That I was not worthy to succeed again. I was a success. To succeed again. I didn't feel valued. I felt like, and this may be proved, that it was okay to prostitute my knowledge and my experience. Because typically that's what people did. They took all of the 25 years of public and private experience and they drained me and then kicked me to the curb. And guess what? I allowed it. But when I began to understand, man, that God still has a purpose and a plan for my life. When I began to understand, man, that God has an awesome, is consistently giving me awesome opportunities, and I have gifts and graces, man, that is beyond man's reach. And as Bishop Jakes would say, favor is not fair. And I know I have the favor of God. I know that I have the favor of God upon my life. And man, and I move in it. Sometimes it comes off. I remember my ex-wife, when she was testifying for me, and they were talking about me. She says, D'Angelo may be many things. He may be conceited. He may, he may be aloof. He may be all of these things, but he is not a thief. He is not this man that you guys are describing him to be. And, sometimes, the favor comes off that way, man. But yes, I am convinced that God has an awesome plan for my life, not just for my life, but for everyone's life who's willing to submit and commit their lives and be a disciple and gain some control over their lives.
That's awesome.
Yes,
I think I love the fact that you said, man, favor is not fair.
It ain't fair.
I mean, it isn't. I mean, some people, I think people fail to realize that when they start delving in where God's hands are already at. When they start the realization is that here I am trying to hurt somebody that is in God's favor at this present moment. There's a lot of danger in that. Don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me share something. This may be prude. You may edit this out of our interview.
Nothing.
But there was when you think about our parents coming together to procreate us. I mean, there's been hypothesized that millions of sperm cells are entering into our parents' womb. And just say 1 million of them. 999,000 of them did not make it.
Yeah.
But I did, and you did. Do you know what the odds of that is? That's like winning the lottery every day for the rest of your life. I am a winner. If I never win again, I won the life battle. I won coming out of eternity into time and going back to eternity. I'm already a winner. You're already a winner. The mere fact that you are here means that you're a winner. And I don't need nobody to tell me that.
Amen.
I just need to know.
Amen to that. Let's see, we got one more question, then we're going to wrap it up, but I've got to ask you one more after this. If you could strip everything away, titles, money, status, even faith, as an external structure, what's the one unshakable principle left that defines Dangelo Lee?
Again, man, that's your condition. It's not your conclusion. I wanted to, close with this little story. There was a kid that wanted to spend some time with his father. The father was busy and wanted to find something for the kid to do, so he saw a magazine. He got the magazine, flipped through the magazine, and found a picture of the world. He tore that picture up and tore it into pieces like a puzzle and gave it to his son to put together. Said that this should take him some time to do that. But oddly enough, the little boy came back with the picture of the world put back together. The father was amazed and he said, "Son, how were you able to put the world together so quickly?" The little precocious son looked up at his dad and said, "Dad, on the back side of the picture of the world was a man." He said, "I put the man together first." And then the world came together too.
That is awesome, man. That is so awesome.
So we keep put folks together, men, women, boys, and girls, man. Your worlds will come together, your family worlds, your financial worlds, your fitness world, your faith worlds. Those worlds will come together. And that is the best praise you can give to God.
Amen to that.
And
man.
to the world.
You put yourself back, put yourself together. And
yes, sir.
Starts with you, right? Starts with us. Okay, this is a section I always do for all my guests. I always say, let's talk about your book and let's talk about where people can get it. Do a little disclaimer of what the book is, and then I'll tell everybody where they can get it.
Well, again, hey, Rush, thank you for this opportunity, man. I just love your spirit, man. God has really bonded us together, man, in heart and spirit, man. I'm just excited about what's coming as a result of that. Yeah, but again, I am a proud author of my book's called Theology of Fitness. It is a look into a faith leader, meaning myself, journey to develop theology of fitness. And it also provides a blueprint to faith leaders on how to understand faith and fitness. It can be found on Amazon. My ways of getting in touch with me, I am just now learning how to get into social media. But I have a Facebook page, it's Dangelo Lee 100, also IG and LinkedIn. And I'm getting on those other places as well. But those are the ways that you can pick up the book.
Awesome. I'll make sure I include a link for that. Okay, last section, I always say, give somebody a shout out, either, a group or, someone you should just give a shout out to that deserves it, or someone who needs some encouragement. Select somebody or some people, whatever.
Definitely PEP. man, I am on this podcast because of you. To Chip and to Brian, man, thank you for introducing me to PEP. Man, it gave me an opportunity to tell my story that had been buried away for so long. I am so grateful for my children, man, Dangelo, Adam, and Fallon. Man, I could not make it without you all, and my wonderful granddaughter, Noe, 2 years old, man, that I just absolutely love, man. And just for all of the wonderful people, man, that continue to bless my life, Eric Walker and Dr. Cerise, and all of these wonderful people, man, that have blessed my life, and Alan Williams. And I mean, man, God has just placed me in such a loving and caring environment, man, that has caused me to make these wonderful, wonderful transitions, man. And for that, I am grateful.
Dangelo, my brother, I love you, man. It's great to have you on the podcast. I knew that we were intertwined in some way, and somehow when we were at the prison entrepreneurship program together in front of everyone, it's an honor to hear your story and hear the depth of what you learned through your experience, and also, man, you just gave me a bunch of ammo that I could take with me and walk out of here, some tangible things. And that's the essence of this podcast, the Rush Outrospective and Mastering the Art of Living podcast, is to give people something tangible that when they hear this conversation, they hear it, they have something that sparks fire in their heart, mind, and spirit. And I think we accomplished that today, brother.
Absolutely, man. And remember, your condition is not your conclusion. God is not through with you yet.
All right, guys, that's it for the Rush Outrospective, a Mastering the Art of Living podcast. As I always say, have peace and the light in you, and remember,